What's up, everybody? Welcome to the View from Jamestown podcast edition. This is episode 52, and this is the March 2021 edition. This morning, we are sitting down with TCC President Robb Roach, VP of Sales and Marketing AJ Petrarca, and Latin American Operations Manager Javier Fernandez.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ben.
How y'all doing?
Doing.
It's going.
It's Friday.
It's Friday.
Friday, yeah.
It's nice to see all your masked faces in person. First time we've done it in person one in a while.
We have the chemical company masks. I don't know if you can see. They're really nice.
Yeah, zoom in on that face right there.
Yeah.
That's a model face right there for
Yeah.
the TCC mask. So
Yeah, those are really good. They have filters that come very handy, and I'm sure the masks are not going away. So I guess we'll be in our shows, future shows and conference wearing our masks and probably giving those away.
yeah, I don't think they're going anywhere for a while. That's for sure. But and they also don't fog up. None of us are wearing glasses, but it's nice that these don't fog up glasses because that's the big, fallback of the masks, amongst other things, is fogging your glasses.
If you guys would like some masks, please email tccmasks@thechemco.com. We'll send you a pair. George, we got to set that email up now.
No, that's not a real email address. Just email Ben directly.
Since we're running out of chemicals to sell, we're just going to sell
Yeah,
masks.
That's a good point. That's a great point.
But yeah, we are mid-March, sort of our new format with both the View email edition and the podcast edition, kind of waiting a couple weeks, doing a more mid-month update. Obviously, I think everyone gets inundated with price updates and notes on the first of the month, so we're starting to do these more mid-month, which I think has been received well so far. And obviously, with everything going on, it seems like there's certainly plenty to talk about, between the fallout still coming from the Texas storm, material tightness, logistics issues, prices going up. Where do you guys want to start?
Gosh, there's been a slight delay since our last podcast, and so much has happened. I mean, we did the last podcast just prior to Uri, and the you call it a storm, but it's really the adverse effects in Texas were the cold associated with the storm. It wasn't necessarily the snow or the precipitation or the wind. It was the damage from the cold, and boy, there was a lot of damage. There was a lot. I mean, it was historic. It really was. Is
it safe to say it's got to be a record-setting storm event, at least specific to the chemical industry in terms of mass shutdowns and the rate that things shut down? I mean, do you remember anything happening like this and how long you've been
not
doing
in my
this?
career, no. I mean, absolutely not. And if you look at our last podcast, I didn't mince my words on where we were before Uri, which was a disaster, and then Uri hit and. It just and I've only been in the chemical industry now for 24 years, and we have my father, we have Joe DeVerso, we have guys that have been in 50, 40s, in the 40s, all of them. Not a single one hasn't said that what we are experiencing today is the most unprecedented, most historic, status of our industry. In their careers, and I don't think it's ever been. But just to give an example, validity on quotes are sometimes minutes old, or minutes validity, an hour validity, multiple hours validity.
And even that's subject to it still being available.
If you can get it, while supplies last.
Yeah.
So, I think it's safe to say, Ben, that this is unprecedented times.
And all four of us, obviously have various product responsibilities, but obviously I've been looking a lot at inquiries that are coming in and potential spot opportunities. I know, especially the three of us sitting over next door, it's been interesting to see the spot opportunities we're getting quotes from people to try to fulfill those orders. And like you said, everything's subject to availability. It's been crazy.
Mm. Yeah, and there's a lot, moreover than Uri, there's a lot of other incidents that are just unrelated to each other, whether it's a fire or a leak or just, all over the world, it seems like things are happening all at once, and it's a perfect storm of broken supply chain right now.
I had somebody explain it to me yesterday as Q5 2020.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just when you thought you were out.
Yep, no, we're in Q5, going into,
Wow.
I guess, Q6 at this point. It just seems like it's never ending. And Javi, I know you're doing a lot with import-export stuff coming into the U.S., obviously overseeing a lot of sales in Mexico and Latin America. A lot of the same things, I'm assuming, between short material availability and validities.
Yeah, and people are used to the lead times as is, but now they're getting longer and longer, and there's no product. So it's really bad. So a lot of plants are shut down as we speak of our customers because of lack of supply. So it's really bad.
And I think we're starting to hear of plants starting to produce on-spec material, starting to get material out the door. But I think we've still got a good couple weeks, if I had to guess, until things go back to somewhat of a normal supply chain, at least from the fallout from the storm.
Agree. I mean, even prior to the storm, the inventories were really low. People were scrambling to keep their supply chains full, and then, you're talking about a best case scenario, most plants a month, to shut down or to fix the problems, or a lot of plants saw the impending crisis associated with the cold and purposefully shut down. That's the best case scenario, and I think a lot of them did. So yeah, we are getting information every single day on who is up and running, and and things are progressing pretty well. And the people at Texas are amazing. They really are hardworking and dedicated, and they're getting things going. So happy to see that it's only going to be 2 to 4 weeks that most of the capacity of so much has been shut down in the United States. So yeah, we're hopeful that in the coming weeks we'll at least get some ratable output, and then supply chains have to be refilled. So, we're saying 60, 90 days more of extreme tightness, you know.
I saw something, I think it was like 80% of the propylene was offline at one point or something like that. Like, it's just insane.
But the first to come up was propylene, you know, and then that makes sense. I mean, you need the raw materials to go downstream, so everybody was sort of waiting for, and propylene needed to come up most quickly, and it had a funny impact, because all of a sudden propylene at record highs, completely the shortest it's ever been in history, went long because nobody was consuming downstream, and it pushed the pricing from a historic high of $1.25 a pound down to 55 cents a pound. That was a blip. That was not. That was fake news. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, yeah, you can get it for 55, but you can't even get your plant up and running yet. So,
right.
So it was really interesting to watch all that take place, AJ. That was interesting.
And on the purchasing and supply side, I know, AJ and Javi to my right, obviously AJ doing a lot with China with dicyandiamide and things like that coming in, and Javi purchasing from pretty much all over the world. What is on the purchasing side of things, what are you guys being told in terms of lead times to get material to ship, if it's even available, pricing? What are you guys seeing in terms of on the purchasing side?
I think one positive thing, it seems like the container shipments out of Asia to here seem to be improving a little bit. Like, we're getting better ETAs than we had pre kind of China New Year. We're still seeing delays in transit, depending on where, what route it's going through. Like, anything routed through the West Coast U.S. is going to be delayed severely. But it seems like overall containers are starting to improve. Prices are still high on freight, and raw material prices in China are way up on everything across the board. China had their National People's Congress, I think it was a week or two ago, and they had new environmental regulations that came out of that. So a lot of plants were forced into shut down to try to reduce their carbon emissions and things like that. So there's some fallout from that at the moment.
And then Javi, with everything else, obviously a lot of bulk liquid things and things like that, both from Latin America and from Europe.
From Europe, from Middle East, everything. There's when something goes wrong in one place, there's usually a lag to happen, to react. So you start shopping around with with your suppliers and see where you can get it, because there's a 2-3 week lag that this material is going to get really tight. Eventually, in this area of the world, we'll do the same. So
yeah. And it seems like it's everything. It's not specific to certain types of products or derivatives products or end uses. It's
everything.
Everything. Yeah, it's across all our supply chains. It's really it's interesting. It's a lot of times it's specific to a few products, or certain types of products. But no, it's across the board.
Yeah, and even when you can get an order confirmed or get material confirmed, there's obviously the ongoing logistics challenges, I guess specific to the U.S. in this case, with trucking, liquid bulk, LTL. We got an update from our logistics guys this morning that LTL freight and pickups has been even more difficult than it has been. And obviously, I think all of us can attest to having orders in the books 2-3 weeks, and the day it's supposed to pick up, the truck just decides not to do that. So it's been an ongoing challenge, even if you can get material supposedly confirmed.
Yeah, the 2-3 week out bookings, those are the ones that are falling off. If you have a truck today and it's shipping tomorrow, you're usually doing okay. But if you book something 3 weeks out, there's so many issues in those 3 weeks, and then it comes to a time, let's say it's a $2,000 haul. Well, they can get $6,000 to utilize that truck to do a spot haul. Also keep in mind that, April 1st will be additional price increases. There's going to be such a backlog coming into the end of March, where there was also in February. Same thing. People could not get trucks.
Yep.
We've seen in our own sales, we're at a particular sales number. We hit the first of the next month, and that sales number goes down considerably because of we couldn't get rail cars filled because of embargoes. We couldn't get rail cars returned because of problems in Memphis or wherever. Trucks that just simply weren't shipped because we couldn't secure a truck. But we're doing a very good job. Our customers are giving us great feedback that we're doing better than others in terms of communicating. We all know that there's problems out there. We know that there's logistical problems. We know that there's supply problems. The key is communication, and that's a part of the culture of our company is, bring the bad news and then also get creative. However we can get creative and help those who have been loyal and good customers of ours, and I think we're doing a very good job at that. I give, a lot of credit to the customer service. They're very stressed right now. The logistics folks at TCC, very stressed right now. So be kind, you catch more flies with honey, so
Yep.
I think that's good advice for everyone out there, is to be kind. We'll get through this.
And I know we talked about it a little bit, but in terms of what's going on with your contacts and customers in Mexico, Latin America, what's the general kind of mood? How's demand looking? How's the outlook on, I guess we're going into Q2 now.
Demand's strong. For the most part, Mexico is opening up. They were operating at 50% in most industries, but now they're opening up. So they have been buying on a regular basis and planning better. So we're right now planning May and June already, because of the lead times.
Yep.
So they're getting better at planning because due to the lead times and the delays. So it's being challenging, but at the same time, a really great opportunities open up at the same time. Regarding Brazil, the things over there are bad due to COVID. The healthcare system is collapsed, and the vaccines are not getting there. And usually it's the Sinopharm or the Sputnik, the Chinese vaccine or the Russian, because the logistics for the vaccines that we have in the U.S. it's impossible to keep those vaccines in route for so many days at that temperature. So we got to look for other options.
And obviously I think the U.S. as a whole relies on Brazil, both for production sites that are there and bringing raw materials up here. So it's certainly a big deal.
Yeah, and there's a lot of shortages. There's a lot of plant outages, same as the U.S. It's not because of the weather, but it's just supply and demand driven, and the prices are skyrocketing in most products.
Seems like there was, I don't know, this is just a guess or a feel, but it seems like there were a lot of plants that weren't kept up on maintenance-wise, because everything, it seems like when demand picked up, they started to run harder and just things went wrong, like whether it was a leak or a fire. But like I said, there's so many plants that are down for different reasons right now, all at the same time, which is interesting.
Well, I think absolutely most large chemical production plants are run on a continuous basis, and when you have a V-shaped economic disaster and recovery like we had in 2020, there's ramping back, and probably in retrospect, people, hindsight's 2020, they probably could have taken an outage and done maintenance and things like that. But when demand fell off, in 1 year ago in March, plants definitely had, to ramp back, and running at capacity is the healthiest way to run. But I think that's oversimplifying. I think you have to look back the last 21 years, really, since the turn of the century, where, new capacities were dependent on China China changed their modus operandi, if you will, in the last 5 years, let's say, and all these new capacities that were global size, sometimes twice, 3x, 4x global, are not running or operating, and we're still operating at the reduced, rationalized capacities. And I talk to my customers and I say we're running a Model T Ford like a Ferrari today, and that's what's happening around the world. Is that the historic plants, they're being run so hard. To your point, AJ, they're breaking, and I don't think this is something that we can expect to end. Because there has to be the conscience or consciousness that we can't depend on China to supply the world with chemical products. You look at even today, I mean, we still got a 25% tariff. Biden hasn't changed any sort of tariff situation, and the most recent meetings with the Chinese were very contentious. I mean, we had a major cyber attack sourced in China. I mean, our own IT folks were scrambling to protect our servers from a cyber attack from China. So, my father says we're in World War IV, but it's online.
Yeah.
And it is interesting how this is all playing out. So, but we have to engage and fix this problem. But we also have to lean harder on the historic theaters that have supplied us, Europe, U.S. And luckily we've got shale and we've got our own energy policies that are enabling us to have these things. So. So it's a good point, AJ. It does seem like it's happening, and there's a lot of reasons. That's probably an oversimplification of it, but at least in my career, that's what I've noticed. Oh, we're all dependent on China. Well, now we can't depend on China, So and then after '09, massive rationalizations, So,
and I think a lot of the plants obviously do their annual 2-week, 3-week turnarounds, and everything going on shows the importance of that. Obviously, 2 weeks down, we got to plan our inventories around it. It's kind of a pain. But if it wasn't for those, these plants probably wouldn't even have made it to this point. So it really highlights the importance of doing that. I think annual maintenance, and makes you kind of appreciate what the work that goes into it. I think price updates and trends. I know a lot of what we've been talking about, just amongst ourselves too, is it's really who's got material, who's got stuff, and when can it ship, and then by the way, what's the price? Seems to be the trend. Obviously, I think in terms of raw material pricing, things are continuing to trend upwards. But I think a lot of the price increases that we're seeing is more just supply and demand driven at this point.
Absolutely.
From everywhere, not necessarily specific to one product or one region.
It's
global,
across the board.
Global supply.
Yeah, I mean, it appears we're coming out of, COVID, and it appears that people are starting to get euphoric, and it appears that, demand is really increasing dramatically. So, and it certainly is showing on paper. So, but it's, it's going to be tough to catch up, for the next 60 or 90 days, but hopefully we'll get there.
Absolutely. General new products, featured products, seasonal products. I mentioned this when we first started talking about this, and we all just sort of had a little bit of a laugh. I think
we're selling masks. We're selling masks.
Yeah. That's our featured product.
I think the biggest thing we really want to highlight, just to sort of put TCC's billboard out there a little bit, is our kind of general abilities and procurement services, whether it's the four of us sitting at this table, our network of sales agents and employees, and then obviously our global supplier base for every kind of product, big products that we have 4, 5, 6 sources of, as well as products we've never sold before that we have the options and abilities to supply. I think the overwhelming message with everything going on is bring the opportunities. We're happy to take a look for you and see, what we can supply and offer you a security of supply in your supply chains.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back at our podcast, we often laugh about Javi's jet setting. This guy, he's always in first class 1A, flying around the world. Pre-COVID, of course, but
180 all flat.
1A up in the front.
Javier 1A Fernandez.
But anyway, I tagged along with Javier back in Coach back in the day, and we had a lot of amazing trips to places all around the world, and and we have amazing friends and contacts in the industry, and it's come down to people that are buying bulk from us today. That they'll take anything. They'll take drums. They'll take totes. They'll take anything. They can't depend on the supplier or suppliers that they had for the time being. My point is that the jet setting, the travel has its benefits, and the contacts that we have worldwide are benefiting our customer base and those who contact us, either through, the website or know us and contact us. Because we're doing with the featured products today are some of the things that we've never sold before necessarily. So I know I'm taking too much time, Ben, but but no, we're lucky to have the contacts that we have, and we've seen a lot of success just recently on a lot of different products from different parts of the world, and we have to lean on those now.
About time all that jet setting paid off.
Yeah, about time. Another 10 years.
10 years of it.
But I think it's an interesting outlook on when COVID ends, when we can go back to traveling, and shows the importance of travel. I think a lot of industries can lean heavy on the digital part, and I think the chemical industry has a lot to grow into some of these digital aspects. But things like traveling to Europe and going to the EPCAs and the Apples of the world, the AFPMs, the coding shows, I don't think that's going to go away. It's going to come back real fast and be just as important as ever, I think.
Good point. Excellent point, Ben. Yeah, I mean, as much as digitization is the trend, and it's certainly important and imperative in your business, the roots of this business, thank God, because that keeps the four of us employed. We still have to sell, and having sales professionals is very important, and we've been doing a good job, and I only say that because our producing partners are giving us more. And that's been evident, and we're growing as a company because our producing partners see that we forecast, we meet our forecast. We supply very responsibly. We have EH&S, we have standards and procedures to protect everyone up the supply chain and down the supply chain. There's a reason why, and so anyway, it's. We'll still have jobs, where digitization will eliminate a lot of jobs. I think we'll still have jobs, thank God,
Yeah, and we are sourcing products and selling products to customers that have found us strictly online, and it's working for now. But I think the relationships you get going back to in-person events and shows is invaluable.
It is.
Trade shows, conferences, and events, the most boring subject of the 2020 podcast series. And it looks like it's going to continue to be that way, unfortunately. Not really a whole lot coming up until summertime. I think the one show we were just talking about that is still scheduled is that Southwestern Fertilizer Show.
In San Antonio, scheduled for July. It looks like that's still on. But
Fingers crossed.
yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Looking at the AFPM, which got moved from March to May, now to October. EPCA, question mark, I guess. Hopefully we'll go on, but we'll see what happens as we get closer.
I saw something about Vienna, but I think that was 2020, and I don't know about 20. I mean, if AFPM is going to be in October, mid-October, I highly doubt that EPCA would be early October. So I think it also is a little bit too early, maybe, to travel to Europe. I mean, some of the news we've heard recently is that there's been new lockdowns in certain areas in Europe. So I think that we still have some healing to do there, and maybe they'll take what the EPCA did and maybe delay it 6 months. So you might see it sometime around this time in 2022, possibly. But I don't know. I can't speak for them. But it will be nice to get back to AFPM in San Antonio in October. We're going to be there. If we have to drive, we'll be there.
And anything on APLA or APIC still TBD?
Nothing. No news yet. I mean, the last APLA was virtual. That was the last of it, and APIC, no news at the moment.
Where's the APLA supposed to be this year?
Should be going back to Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Nice short flight.
Yeah, it's a long flight.
How did APLA do the virtual piece? Was it all on your own to go to meetings,
and they create an avatar, and then you can walk around and meet people. So it's pretty creative.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to be creative, otherwise,
So you have your 1A seat booked for Argentina?
Not yet. Hopefully I get a Dreamliner.
He's a NetJet. He's the newest NetJet member.
TCC Platinum sponsor. Yeah, I think that sort of wraps everything up. There's a lot going on, a lot of craziness going on. I think this new sort of mid-month format is good. Obviously, everyone pays attention closely with price changes in the first of the month, but I think a lot of people may not watch it as closely through the middle of the month. So we'll obviously have this podcast coming out here in the next couple days. The View email should be going out early next week, and I think we'll see what happens here the next couple weeks. Maybe things will be calmed down a little bit come mid-April, but I guess I wouldn't bet on much at this point.
It's definitely fun. It's definitely it gives me a rush, adrenaline rush.
It is a good point. It's every day is different. Someone's calling you looking for something, and you get on the phone looking for it, and it's a good point.
Want to point out, congrats to you, Ben. There's been a lot of View type emails I see from competitors, and there's a lot of new podcasts springing up out there. So I mean, I guess people copying is the purest form of flattery. So we were the first, and you were the first to start the podcast 52 podcasts ago. So congrats to you. The View was born before you, but you certainly improved it and made it much more robust, and it is really excellent information if you really dig into it, and you can, if you pay attention, you can make purchasing decisions that will save your company a lot of money based on the information that we're putting out there. So I think we're doing this because we like hanging out with each other and having fun and talking about an industry that we love. But you'll look back at the last several months, we've made the right calls. We've been telling people this was coming, not necessarily the level, but so congrats, Ben and AJ and Jav. This is it's a good podcast, and I hope people appreciate it out there because, like I said, it can save a lot of money and help you probably be less stressed in times like this.
Yeah, make better decisions.
Better decisions. Yeah,
overall.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate it. Obviously, we wouldn't be able to produce the podcast that we do without the Kettlebottom Creative guys over here.
Absolutely.
We can kick and yell and scream all day long about what's going on, and we'll do this podcast, and we'll keep doing this podcast, but obviously we can't force anybody to sit down and listen to it. But obviously, I think over the past 52 episodes, it's obviously grown. We've had feedback on it, and hopefully we'll continue to grow, and a good 20 to 35 minutes of condensed what's going on that month to, like you said, help make purchasing decisions, buying decisions, business decisions. Hopefully people are listening, and obviously we've appreciated the feedback thus far and look forward to another 52 episodes.
Absolutely.
But as always, thank you guys for listening. Crazy couple weeks going on, crazy couple weeks and months, I think, still to come. By all means, reach out to us via the website, call into the office anytime. Hit up Javier on WhatsApp if you'd like to.
My WhatsApp is bonkers. It doesn't stop 24/7. It's crazy.
We're just talking about you wake up in the middle of the night, to go get some water, and you're checking your WhatsApp.
Yeah. Asia's at the time, and the early morning Europe starts, so it's never ends, but I love it.
That's why you're drinking. That's why you're drinking 4 large coffees before 9 a.m. But yeah, we appreciate you listening. Thank you as always, and we will catch you mid-April.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thanks, Ben.